Hey guys, welcome to Tea with Harmony. I'm Tiffany Belvin. If you don't already know, I had a long day today. I'm actually on my way to pick up my little girl, but I wanted to do this video. One, because I realize I don't record enough, I don't do enough video, and I know people want to hear from me. They've told me, we want to hear from you, especially my interview skits and responses they particularly like. But my husband is always telling me that I need to really consider doing more video because people want to hear from me, and it's hard. My schedule is so crazy sometimes between work, family, personal life, maintaining my marriage, being a personal assistant to my 10-year-old. And yes, I'm literally serious about being a personal assistant to my 10-year-old. Her calendar is almost just as hectic as mine with her bowling schedule. But I wanted to take a moment because some things were going on today at work. And as a human resource professional, even before I was in human resource, there were just certain things that I did not understand that happened in the workplace. Today, as soon as I got into the office, I was immediately beckoned. And sometimes people will stop me from the parking lot before I even get into the building. But today I actually stepped foot in the building, and as I was crossing the threshold of the entrance, the IT administrator and the finance manager were like, so it happens. From the moment I walk in, I start working. And there were some things going on. I work for a company that's contracted by the state of Delaware, providing customer service for a state agency. And on occasion, I have to listen to customer contacts when the customer service representatives speak with customers, or even when they speak to each other, because complaints come up, things happen. And thankfully, because I have a background in call center customer service, I was a customer service representative and also a team leader for 12 years for a telecommunications company. So, and perform quality review for another customer service center. So I have an idea of what the customer contacts should and shouldn't sound like. And I had to, one of the supervisors sent me a recording of one of the calls because unfortunately she and a representative had gotten into a dispute on the call center floor, which that was already something I had to address. But in the midst of my investigation of speaking with different people, I said, wait a minute, what happened with the customer? So nobody actually thought about that. And they said, well, we got to go listen to the call. So I listened to the call. The supervisor listened to the call. She explained to me what she heard. But one thing I did when I took on this position as the HR representative, I requested to have the ability to listen to the calls myself. Like I said, I have a background in this. I have experience. I was a supervisor, a team leader in a call center. So I don't want someone else's interpretation of what they had heard. I want to listen to it for myself, to be able to say, yes, this is what the situation was, or no, this wasn't what the situation was, especially if I have to sit and listen to disciplinary actions or even sign off on paperwork as the HR representative. So from the beginning, they had no problem with that at all. And there have been situations where I was able to pick up on things that other people were not. Well, this particular call that I listened to today, it only lasted a little over 3 minutes. But from the beginning of the call, you could tell that the agent was not prepared to serve. And when I say prepared to serve, I mean the mindset. When our customers call in, and that's anywhere, regardless of what industry you're in, when customers call to speak with a representative, they're expecting to be helped. They're expecting to feel or receive a willingness to help. And listening to this call, that wasn't the case. You can tell from the beginning that the customer service representative was not in that mindset for whatever reason. We go through our personal situations. Sometimes we don't want to be at work. It happens. But from the beginning of the call, the representative wasn't helpful. She was curt. She, at some point, was condescending. It was almost like the tone of the way she spoke to the customer was like, oh, that's stupid. Or the customer was wasting her time. And the customer didn't come on the call to me deserving that. They deserve so much more. And not that I've had customers that I would have liked to curse out. But this particular customer was just calling to get assistance. And she did not seem willing to do the research in order to assist the customer. And almost like I said, the customer was wasting her time and she just wanted him to get off the phone. And it made me start thinking, because human resource to me is customer service on steroids. For real. Like, you get pulled in various different directions. Anything could come up at any time. It's the height of multitasking and putting out fires. If I had a water hose, I would be putting out fires all day long, every day. Today was a number of fires. So I definitely understand, and you're dealing with different, in the human resource, you're dealing with different levels of customer service. It's not one level. From entry level to executive level, it's just, you're dealing with a lot. So I definitely understand how someone can get overwhelmed or just be at the end of their rope or just tired of dealing with certain situations. I understand it completely. But in this situation, the customer seemed okay. They didn't have an attitude. He wasn't nasty. He wasn't rude. He was just trying to receive a service. And she was not being helpful. Let's just put it that way. She wasn't being helpful. And it got me to thinking, because I read a lot of resumes on a daily basis, because I have to source different staffing agencies. We have multiple staffing agencies. We have job boards that we receive resumes from, as well as our company website. So I read resumes every single day. And what I find is, a lot of the time, I see where people go from one customer service job to another customer service job to another customer service job to another customer service job, all entry level, and they don't stay in these positions long. I honestly have looked at resumes. If I will give it maybe 9 out of 10 resumes where people submit to our customer service positions, you will see in a work experience and a work history that someone, and again, 9 out of 10, someone has worked in customer service, so they want to say that they're experienced, but they've only stayed 2 months here, 3 months here, 4 months here, a month here, 2 weeks there. That's not experience in customer service. That's experiencing customer service. You're not experienced in customer service if you jump from one job to the next job over a series of years. I literally have had resumes where someone has had 14, 15, 20 jobs within a 5, 6, 7, 8 to 10 year period. I'm not even exaggerating, because we laugh about it. The customer service manager and I laugh about it. And we like, do you see how many jobs they had in the past 5 years? In the past 10 years? If you've had 15 to 20 entry level jobs within a 10-year period, something's wrong. Either this is definitely not your passion. You probably should find something that you like doing. You don't like doing customer service. It bewilders me when someone says that they like customer service, but they don't stay in any one particular position for an extended amount of time. And when I say an extended amount of time, I mean a year or so. And I know people will watch this video and they'll say, well, Tiffany, there's some toxic companies and there's some toxic workplaces, and if I see it's toxic, I go. What I don't see is when we give these people a chance, is the people who don't recognize that they're toxic. And I'm all for giving chances, because I don't immediately discard those resumes that jump from one place to another. I know a lot of people who, if they see that you jump from job to job to job, will just throw your resume in the garbage. I don't do that. I look at your resume. I try to draw a picture based on what I have in front of me. And I'll say, well, maybe, like, we have a lot of people who go from the healthcare industry and they have no other experience other than healthcare, and they'll apply for customer service. I understand that completely, because I used to work in the healthcare industry as an HR representative, and I know that industry is very stressful. It's not only stressful to you mentally, it's stressful physically, it's stressful emotionally. So I understand. Why people would say, you know what, I can't do this anymore. Let me do something that doesn't tear my body apart. So going from the healthcare industry, sometimes we have CNAs, nurses, everything that just say, I'm going to do customer service. I need a job. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to work in a call center and just talk to customers on the phone. I'm speaking of those people who go from customer service to customer service job, and then we bring them on, or let me back up. We schedule an interview with them, and I'm going to get into that too. I'm going to start doing videos to just explain just what we experience in our interviews with some of these people that I'm referring to, because it's so sad. And I told my colleague that we really need to I just need to start my courses on how to get along in the workplace. Not just for employees, but employers also, because some of you employers are off the chain. But how to get along in the workplace, how to present yourself in an interview, because, like I said, these applicants who present their resumes, and we give that chance to, because people say, oh, you shouldn't not give people a chance. Give them a chance. Everybody needs a second chance. Everybody needs a third chance. So we give these applicants a chance. We invite them to the interview. And from the interview, there are so many people that we see why they jump from job to job to job, because the interview is, it makes me wonder, if you interview like this, how did you ever get a job? That's one. Because I've had people curse, I've had people um, use racial tropes, I've had people uh, use all type, like I had someone call their former supervisor a douchebag during an interview. If you don't realize that you shouldn't use the term douchebag in an interview, how do I know that you don't know not to use that word in the workplace? I've had women and men use sexist cliches. Um, I've heard it all in an interview, and it amazes me that people don't realize that they shouldn't do this in an interview. Now, some of the applicants that jump from job to job to job, they do a great interview because they know how to fool you during the interview. And then they get on a job and they act a fool from day one. Act a fool. I've seen, and I've actually had to be a part of separating people on the first day of work, because, or even the first week of work, for various reasons, from just outright violating policy. And I am the first face that employees see for new hire orientation. I go over certain policies, especially the industry that we work in. There are regulations, state regulations, that we need to follow. So those I go over and explain the importance of from day one. I actually had to separate someone day one for not violating just once or twice or three times. This person violated a state compliance all day long. And it scared me and it concerned me that there was some type of mental illness or dysfunction, because it couldn't be clearer that they weren't allowed to do this and why, but they kept doing it. So I had to separate them. I couldn't let it play out. I've had other people that we've had to separate after a week, and it's funny because I'm going to do a video, definitely, because one really surprised me. Just things that come out of people's mouths is amazing in the workplace, especially when you haven't been there long. I remember a time where you would have had to develop a rapport over a long period of time before you shared certain information. If I told you right now what this, we actually hired him as a temp. So what this temp said to two female employees, you would be appalled. But he was only there, he wasn't even there a full week. He was there maybe 3 days, and I ended his assignment. I had to, because he would have been a liability, definitely. But I'm starting to realize that people don't look at themselves. It's always somebody else's fault. It's somebody else's fault that I don't have a job. It's somebody else's fault that I got written up. It's somebody else's fault that I got caught violating policy or saying something that I shouldn't have said, or being disrespectful or being rude, or it's just always somebody else's fault. And that's what I had to deal with today, and I'll be dealing with tomorrow and again on Thursday, because it's going to play out that long. I already know it, unfortunately, because there's certain things that I have to address in the situation. But I'm going to do more video because I think people need to see examples of what is happening and why they are not successful in the workplace. So thank you for tuning in, and yeah, you'll see me again.